What is going on, you guys? AK40 Kevin here in the Gamer Heaven. Today we're going to be unboxing, setting up, and reviewing my first ever 2K or Quad HD webcam. That's 1440p, Vice 1080p, which is kind of the golden standard. You don't want to get anything below 1080p for a webcam. And you can make a 1080p webcam look pretty gosh darn good with some proper lighting, like a ring light or an Elgato key light. I feel like when you get up to 4K, you definitely reach a point of diminishing return where the additional price doesn't really get you a noticeable additional quality, especially if you're doing something like streaming to Twitch or just uploading videos to YouTube. Those files get so compressed that your little webcam box in the top of your screen isn't really going to make that big of a difference. But I personally would like to see if a 1440 webcam looks better than 1080p, especially because I picked this thing up for $22, which is, I think, cheaper than what I paid for my 1080p webcam about a year ago. So costs are coming down, and if it makes a noticeable difference, it might just make sense to upgrade now. Let's check it out. Squat over here, save my old knees and my old back. So over here at the Stormtrooper desktop, very basic packaging here, but again, this thing was $22, so I didn't really expect any laser cut foam or any premium packaging, and that's totally fine. As long as this thing works and looks good, that's really all that counts. So that's nice. You have a nice little included bipod stand here, or I'm sorry, tripod. It's got 3 legs, right, Harley? Bi is 2, try is 3, as in don't try my patience. So you have this little tripod here, and this thing feels very, very, very cheap and flimsy. This thing feels very, very cheap and flimsy. Also, the feet aren't rubberized; they're hard plastic. So this thing is noisy on your desk if you bump it, and it just slides around. Also, the feet aren't very well spaced out, so it's not very stable. I feel like you could tip your webcam over. There is rubberized padding up here for the bottom of the microphone or the webcam. Facts are, though, you're probably going to clamp this onto your monitor. I don't really think you're going to have it on the tripod, but, you know, to each his own. Everyone might do something different with their setup. So they do include this, which is nice, but again, some rubberized feet and a little bit better build quality. This feels so cheap and chintzy, guys. All right, instruction manual over here. Actually really, really good. So not color or anything like that, but good large font. English is the primary language. Very informative. It has pictures in there that show you the different parts of the webcam and also answers some FAQs and stuff like that. So some of the specs of this bad boy, it does have a 4.9 foot USB cable, and it has a maximum video resolution of 1440, true native 1440, which is 2560 by 1440. At 30 frames per second, so 30 frames is the cap there. But again, unless you're doing any like crazy fast motion, you're probably just recording talking head commentary or something like that, or just, you know, want your face seen for streaming games or something, so that's not a huge deal. It is USB 2.0. That doesn't mean you can't plug it into a 3.0, but you're not going to get any additional data transfer benefits or speeds or anything like that by using a 3.0 port. It does have a digital microphone built in. I can guarantee that any microphone built into a webcam is going to sound like pure poop, just unwiped poop. So, I mean, obviously, though, if you're streaming, you're probably going to invest in a, you know, $20, $30 USB microphone at the least, if not some kind of a, you know, some kind of like a little boom arm and condenser, some kind of a boom arm and like condenser microphone like that. Or if you're really balling, get yourself like an XLR and a mixer. So pulling this out of its bubble wrap condom. So this is a very handsome looking device. It has gloss piano black, which I'm sure would suck up fingerprints like nobody's business, but you know, once you set your webcam, you're probably not going to be touching it a whole heck of a lot. And then also you have this kind of chrome lens in there, which looks really, really cool. So it looks like this does rotate around. I don't know if that zooms in and out or if that's just spinning for the heck of it. You do have 2 ports or holes on the front. I'm assuming that's for the microphone. And then on the back, you do have this little clamp here, and this is to snap onto your monitor, just like I have this 1080p webcam up there. So it's padded right here, and right here, and you just clamp that onto your monitor like that. The cable is rather short, so if you are running it, you know, any further than from like here to here, you might want to get a USB extension cable that's a female end here and then a male end on the other section, obviously, to extend this out a little bit. I will have one of those linked in the description below, as well as the actual webcam itself. So let's get this plugged in. Alright guys, so over here at Trooper 7, we have the 1080p webcam that I've been using for about 1.5 years now. Just a generic one, Vitade is the name of the brand. It's kind of nice, it does have a built-in halo ring here, which I kind of thought that this one did from the pictures, but it does not. And this is the 1440 here. We have them both plugged in. I'm going to pull you guys into my computer. We're going to go into Streamlabs OBS, my broadcaster service, or software, and we're going to go side by side and kind of see if there's like a tangible difference. Alrighty, my friends, this is over here on my PC. This is with the 1080p webcam that I've been using since the Civil War, basically. And as you can see, this looks pretty darn good. I have natural light coming through this window here. I also have an Elgato key light here if I want to turn that on for a little bit of additional light. Go ahead and crank that up. Oh my goodness, it's bright as heck. Turn that down just a skosh before I scorch my corneas out. But yes, as you can see, it looks pretty doggone good. Alrighty guys, so this is with the 1440p webcam. I'm going to go through the settings real quick to show you guys exactly how to get this thing set up to where it is actually utilizing its full 1440p. So yeah, that looks a lot better putting that key light on my face there. Okay, so this does look very, very crisp. It is, you know, noticeably better, but it's not such a drastic jump to where it's like, oh my gosh, I think this looks 100 times better than my 1080p webcam. It also seems a little bit more motion blurry. I think my other 1080p webcam is also 30 hertz or 30 frames per second, not 60, but it does look a little bit smoother. So let me share my screen real quick. So add a video capture device, add a source, 1440p, that's this bad boy right here. Make my head smaller. Okay, just put you there for now, Kevin. When you do set up a new webcam, you're going to want to go through these settings. So obviously you select whatever webcam you want. This is called the RS cam. So if you have device default selected, the resolution and frames per second are going to be blacked out. But if you go to custom, that will unlock these. We're going to have it as its maximum native reception. I keep looking at that webcam because I'm so used to it. It's going to have its maximum native resolution. Wedding reception. It's resolution of 1440. And then we will go 30 frames per second. Oh, that's smoother. Okay. Video format, leave it as any. It doesn't matter because the only other format is movie JPEG, so you're not really changing anything. Color space by default at 601. Select 709. Color range by default is at partial. Select full. That gives you the full color spectrum, so you look a little bit more natural. Buffering, leave that at auto detect. That means if your PC starts having some issues because you're gaming, streaming, and manipulating a webcam, it's gonna kind of dynamically buffer to where you're not getting a huge lag and looking all skippy on your webcam. So overall, I think it does look really good. I will say it is very, very zoomed in. My face is the exact distance away from my 1080p webcam. I mean, that one's offset a little bit to the left side of me, but it's the same distance, and it looks like you guys are really, really, really right up close to my face, and there's no way to change that. That dial wheel on there makes it more blurry or more crisp depending on how far you are from the webcam, but that doesn't zoom in and out. What that does is that's adjusting focus. Also, it does still seem not juddery, but it seems like it's not as fluid and smooth as my 1080p webcam. And there are some things I don't really like about the form factor or the actual hardware design. So I'm going to pull you guys out of the PC so I can show you guys that, and then we'll go ahead and wrap this video up. Alrighty guys, over here at the PC, and this is what I wanted to show you guys. So this is my 1080p webcam over here. A very small form factor. It's up out of the way of your monitor. This one overhangs quite a darn bit, and that is with it adjusted to where it's out of the way as much as it can be. Now it does swivel up and down, but even up like that, it's still taking up a good chunk of the monitor. Also, there is no way to zoom in and out, and by default it was zoomed very, very close in my face. And there is no way to rotate this left and right, as you see. You could scoot it like that, but this webcam over here, if you scoot it over here to the left and you still want it turned in towards you, this thing swivels not only like that, but it also pivots like that as well. So you can move it, you know, up and down, left and right, and then also tilt the axis of it as well. So a lot more adjustability on that one. It stays up and out of the way of my monitor and has a halo ring built on board. Not that I'm trying to compare these two, but it just seems like, you know, this one doesn't have the flexibility or versatility that I'd like, not to mention taking up a good a noticeable chunk of my vision out of the top of my monitor is kind of a no-go, especially if I'm using this for gameplay. So what are my final thoughts? Is it worth it to upgrade your 1080p webcam to 1440 or 2K or Quad HD? I would say depends on what you're doing. If you are screen recording yourself and then uploading to something like YouTube, these things have come down in price, where this is the same price I paid for my 1080p webcam, if not a couple bucks cheaper because it was on sale. So, you know, why not pick up a Quad HD webcam instead of a 1080p webcam if it's the same price? But if you're using this strictly for streaming to Twitch or Facebook Gaming or whatever platform you're on, those are capped at 1080p 60 frames. So you're not going to, you know, it's going to be that file that you're uploading, that you're streaming, is going to be compressed and funneled down into 1080p 60 no matter what. So, you know, it'll go from native 1440 down to that descaled or downscaled 1080p. So I just don't really see that being worth it. But again, if it's the same price as a 1080p webcam, it really doesn't matter. But what does matter, though, is the form factor of this thing. It doesn't have adjustability to where I can swivel left and right, and it takes up a good chunk of my monitor. Not to mention, it's zoomed in really, really far, and I don't know why. I adjusted it in software and physically used the dial wheel on there, which just does focus. And it is zoomed in very, very close on my face to a uncomfortable degree, to where I don't like it that close to my face, and I'm pretty sure my viewers don't want to see my face that close up. Every imperfection and pore on my nasty little skin. So, I personally am not a tremendous fan of this specific model just because of that lack of adjustability, how big it is, and how zoomed in it is. But that's not saying that 1440 is not a good option to start moving into away from 1080p, especially if you are doing screen recordings and not live streaming. So that's going to do it, guys. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, drop them down there in the comment section below. I will have a link to both of these here in the description, and I will see you guys in the next video. Have a great day.